It's Flashback Friday. We have not done a Flashback Friday in forever. In a long time, to be exact. So crank up the time machine. Let's go. Let's begin our Flashback Friday. The real edition. We did it outdoors to celebrate our Flashback Friday. Now we're going to do the indoor version. The studio version for our Flashback Friday. So, where do we begin here? Where we always begin. Even though I said to you guys I was going to be off until after Labor Day. One new death in New Westchester County, 260 new cases, 28 deaths in the state with 10,000. Vaccines, 75.2, 62.3, 17.8, 21.5 million. What about in our schools? The highest one since for the 19th is 9. 0 for the staff. 302, 3 zeros. The highest one is 9 for August. That's 22 cumulative cases total. That's the highest one ever for high school students. That's because nobody's getting vaccinated. Because I point to the people who say, well, it's against my religion. I get it's against your religion. But what you need to understand is that, yes, it is against religion. I completely understand. Also, what you also need to understand is that people are dying from this COVID, and you're saying, I don't care. I'm going with my religion. Screw your religion. If you really need to get vaccinated, then leave the church. Go get vaccinated. Do what you need to do to help not spread this disease. Things have to be done around here. And personally, I don't want this ever spreading in my neighborhood. And I personally don't want to go back to square one. So what needs to be done? Again, like I've always talked about, what we need to do is to make sure that we are wearing masks, hand washing, washing our hands completely. Also, we need to make sure that we're disinfecting our area with disinfectant wipes. We need to make sure we're on transportation, we do the same thing. We also need to make sure a lot of things. But the missteps happened just 2 days ago to the CDC, the chief of the CDC. Take a look at this one.
Want something fast? Fake.
Major shakeup tonight at the Centers for Disease Control following criticism of how the nation's public health agency handled the COVID-19 epidemic. And it comes as the country faces another outbreak, this time monkeypox. CBS News chief medical correspondent Dr. John LaPook has our exclusive interview tonight.
Today's report uncovered deep concerns over the CDC's culture and day-to-day practices. Among the complaints, a rigid, compartmentalized bureaucracy that restricted the agency's overall response to the pandemic, from its analysis of data to the sluggish release of information to the public, to its confusing and overwhelming COVID guidance. Was the agency up to the task of handling this pandemic?
I think our public health infrastructure in the country was not up to the task of handling this pandemic.
CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky commissioned the report in April.
We learned some hard lessons over the last 3 years, and as part of that, it's my responsibility, it's the agency's responsibility to learn from those lessons and do better.
The new findings are likely to spark a major shakeup of the CDC's sprawling bureaucracy. Among the plans, get information to the public more rapidly, create a new office to promote equity in healthcare, and develop a more nimble workforce that can quickly respond to public health crises.
We need to have a special forces, if you will, to deploy during pandemic times.
Do you think they're up to the task of now changing their whole culture and thinking of themselves more like special forces that can be deployed wherever they're needed?
I have no doubt that they're up to the task.
The report comes with a new sense of urgency as the CDC moves from managing the pandemic to dealing with the latest public health crisis, monkeypox. Is it fair to say we're not quite there yet in terms of monkeypox?
I think it's too early to say that we have our arms around it. I believe that we can work to contain this outbreak, and we're doing a lot of that hard work.
Dr. Walensky told me the CDC has to up its game when it comes to making the agency's workforce more nimble, improving capabilities in the lab, and becoming better at gathering and reporting data because, Nora, we do not know what the next public health challenge will be.
Dr. LaPook, with that exclusive, thank you so much.
Wow. That's what else needs to happen. Trying to keep up to date with this, and maybe you too could be a hero. Or a COVID hero. When we return, where Flashback Friday begins by going back to our Back to School month. We have not talked about this. Haircuts provided by the teachers. A look at 2 cases, 3 cases actually, that deal with this, from Spurs to RTC to a teacher who's just cut the hair while singing the national anthem. Stay with us. It's Flashback Friday, another Flashback Friday, and our first one goes back to our Back to School month. So 2 things we have not talked about. Let's go back to when teachers were cutting people's hair. And I gotta say, when I watched this story I'm about to show you, I was stunned that a teacher who cut the hair, I mean, it's a bizarre video that happened. And during that time, 3 years ago, she was arrested. So take a look at this.
It's the teacher freakout the whole country is talking about.
Let's go proudly we hail.
52-year-old chemistry teacher Margaret Giesinger sings the national anthem while cutting a student's hair.
By the twilight.
The student can't believe what's happening.
Next. I'm not done.
That's when Giesinger turns her scissors on a young lady who flees before any hair is cut.
Oh, Miss Jeeves.
Total chaos ensues. The whole class runs for the exit, and the teacher ended up getting arrested for alleged child endangerment. Today, she is still behind bars. I spoke with her husband, Peter, about the bizarre episode. What would possess your wife to do such a thing?
This is beyond, anything I could imagine her doing. Something happened to her stress-wise, and she just must have flipped out.
Students at the high school outside Fresno, California say the teacher had been acting strangely for several days before the meltdown. Her teaching credentials have reportedly been suspended twice before. What do you want people to know about your wife, the wife that you know and love?
If she did snap, if she did have a mental breakdown of any kind, I hope that she could seek help.
Let's go proudly we hail.
That was frustrating. Seeking help? I'm glad this teacher's behind bars for what she did. It was a video that got viral just 3 years ago. Now let's go back to 12 years ago when a teacher punishes a first grader by cutting off her braid. Really? Without a license? You can't cut hair without a license. It's illegal. But no one cares about when it happened, so take a look at this.
She said don't play with it no more, I'm gonna cut the wrist.
A Milwaukee public school teacher under fire after she cut a 7-year-old girl's hair off in class. Only on 12 News, why the little girl says her teacher got so upset and how MPS officials are responding. Good evening, I'm Kathy Michaelby.
And I'm Terry Sater. Toya has the night off. A Milwaukee teacher is charged with disorderly conduct after punishing a first grader by cutting her hair. In a story you'll see only on 12 News, Nick Bohr is here live with the little girl's story in her own words, Nick.
And Terry Lamaya Kamen is angry, confused, and scared by the incident last week in which the apparently frustrated teacher cut one of her hair braids off after she wouldn't stop playing with them in class. 7-year-old Lamaya Kamen sports a few dozen braids, but one is conspicuously absent.
She told me to stop playing with it and then cut it off and send me back to my desk.
Lamaya is a first grader at Congress Elementary and says her teacher used a classroom scissors to cut off one of the braids after she absentmindedly kept playing with them. Tell me how you play with your hair. Show me what that means.
I wasn't playing that loud. I was doing this.
She says the teacher called her to the front of the room and cut it in front of the whole class. What did you do?
I went to my desk and cried. And they was laughing. She threw it away. And she said, now what you gonna go home and tell your mama? And then I said, you cut off my hair.
Lamaya's mom was and is furious. She went to the school and confronted the teacher.
I said, well, you cut a lot of her hair off. And then she was like, well, I do apologize. She said, but I was frustrated.
The MPS district says they're going through the disciplinary process with the teacher, who remains in class, though Lamaya has been moved to a different classroom by the principal.
The main thing is, from the heart of the principal, and also from me speaking for the district, we're very sorry that this happened.
Lamaya's mom appreciates the apology, but says the district should seriously question whether the teacher should keep her job.
Why would we want someone like that teaching our kids? We trust our kids, and once they go to school, to be safe.
Milwaukee police investigated the case and referred it to the district attorney for possible physical or mental abuse of a child charges. When the district attorney's office decided not to file criminal charges, police this week issued the teacher a $175 ticket for disorderly conduct. Now, we tried to talk to the teacher today, but were unable to reach her.
Wow. Just wow. The district attorney won't respond, so what do? You issue a ticket for disorderly conduct. That's not right. Just throw her in jail. Take her to jail. I know. That's the solution. That's the solution ever. Coming up. Parents are outraged after middle school counselor shaved a student's hair. Then 11 months ago, the father sued a Michigan school district for $1 million after the teacher cut her daughter's hair. That was just outrageous to what happened as our Flashback Friday continues when we come back. Let's get you up to date on some things that's been happening. Let's go to Oxford now. Parents of Oxford High School student survivor filed a lawsuit pushing for accountability charge. According to this new lawsuit, 47 pages. This is a 47-page lawsuit that's being put in place. Ains father remembers watching the accused shooter arraignment in court. The students returned on August 25th. The Watson said that Aiden wants to return, but they're not sure if he can make a full day's mentally. So, yeah. That's just outrageous. Also, 2 days ago, the community schools had a 3-year plan. That was something to look forward to. What about Uvalde? Well, 3 days ago, the school officials did this. Well, it's happening August 24th, which is 5 days from now. they're going to discuss on whether firing Pete Arredondo. Now remember, he's on unpaid administrative leave because of his role in the shooting. They wanted to fire him, but his attorney said nope, not without an appeal. And just 3 days ago, millions have donated after the Uvalde shooting, but still reached the victims and families. And 7 hours ago, survivors of the mass shooting get tuition aid to aid the Catholic school. And just 10 hours ago, gun safety group pressures Uvalde Gun Shop to stop selling AR-15s following that mass shooting. We don't know what's happening, but we'll keep posting what's been going on. We'll be back in a moment. On to another blast from the past. Throw away your scissors. Protect your hair. Because a father sued a school district 11 months ago after a teacher cut her hair off. Take a look.
This is a federal lawsuit now against the school district and 2 school staff members. It's a story in our own backyard that has now attracted international attention. You can't ignore it. We spoke with Jimmy Hoffmeyer and his daughter Journey in the spring after her hair was cut. He laid out that sequence of events and explained why the situation for him was so disturbing.
Did she tell you why she cut your hair?
To make it even?
That's us speaking with 7-year-old Journey in April, after the child's hair was cut not once, but twice. First by a student and then by a staff member in Mount Pleasant Public Schools.
I just don't understand why she thought that a child could make any decisions like that, whether it was straightening it, whether it was cutting it. Why is she touching my child, period, during a COVID pandemic and without permission? I don't understand that.
Jimmy Hoffmeyer says back in March, his daughter's hair was cut on a bus by a student. He took her to a salon to have it fixed, and a few days later, a library staff member at Journey's school cut her hair again. And since that incident, Hoffmeyer has decided to sue in federal court for $1 million, alleging assault and battery, the intentional infliction of emotional distress, and a violation of constitutional rights, plus racial and ethnic discrimination. In April, I asked Hoffmeyer about that last part.
How central do you think it is here? Do you think that the fact that your daughter is both black and white in a predominantly white environment played a role?
See, that is the hardest question to answer, being that I hope that everybody can understand that I really don't know. I honestly don't know. I've been in the school system my whole life. I have experienced some racism, but you always hope that it isn't the case.
Virtually all the stories covering Journey's case across the nation and even internationally mention the fact Journey is both black and white. The lawsuit alleging race played a role. We spoke with Christina Laster, the Director of Policy and Legislation with the National Parents Union, about that issue, as it's become central to the way the story is being covered pretty much everywhere.
It seems that a lot of people feel that the staff member clearly was wrong, but that this wasn't necessarily racially motivated. In fact, Jimmy Hoffmeyer even said he's not sure if race is a factor here. How are you so certain that race is a factor?
We really have to question the motivation, right? Why did they perceive Journey Hoffmeyer's hair a problem to be dealt with? And when you're talking then further about the rights of persons, you have to look at protected classes. We can't forget that in schools, there are subpopulations protected classes according to race, ethnicity, gender.
And of course, in this case, we reached out to the school district several times today. No response by news time. But Amy Bond, the president of the Mount Pleasant Public Schools Board of Education, told the Associated Press that they performed a third-party investigation and said, quote, "We will aggressively defend against these baseless allegations in court and will not allow this to distract us from our mission to provide every child a world-class education that prepares them for college and careers," end quote. Taryn?
All right, Hillary, thank you.
That was outrageous, and I'm glad that they're getting their day in court. Before we go on to 8 years ago, last month, a daughter says a teacher cut her daughter's hair. Unacceptable behavior. Take a look.
New Astapro, steroid-free.
Are you kidding me? I hate these ads. All right. Hey, dads like this. Just try to understand here. Take a look.
Tonight, a mother very upset about the way a situation was handled at her daughter's school in Cy-Fair ISD. She says a teacher cut her little girl's hair without asking her.
KPRC2's Sienna Rhodes spoke with that mother and the student's grandmother as well. Sienna, they're calling for consequences for that teacher.
Daniela, this was a summer school science project gone wrong and made worse, this mom said, by a teacher who took things too far.
I was trying to hear the sound.
Isabella was busy building a robot, turning the wheels of her imagination when the wheels of the mini machine.
Then it got caught right here in my hair.
When Isabella alerted her teacher that a few strands were stuck, she says the teacher grabbed a pair of scissors.
And then people were saying, cut it. Then I felt embarrassed. I said, my mom will get mad at you if she does that. And she didn't listen, so she just literally cut my hair in front of everyone.
Isabella says the teacher took too much hair in the process.
It was cut right here, and it was all the way right here.
And she didn't bank on having bangs on one side of her face.
I was literally crying from home because people were making fun of me.
How dare her touch my child without anybody even calling and consulting me? She already is self-conscious about her hair. So now she's even more self-conscious.
The teacher overstepped her boundaries.
Mom Melissa Redmond filed a complaint with Cy-Fair ISD police and says there need to be consequences.
I definitely think that she should be fired.
I reached out to the district spokesperson telling me that this is under investigation. Live in Cyprus, Sienna Rhodes, KPRC 2 News.
All right. Imagine this. You are excited. You want to sell. You love your favorite team. But then you go to school one day and all of a sudden it's a dress code. Then you come home and as a parent you realize, what happened, Timmy? Daddy, my teacher, the counselor got my hair without a license. You're about to meet that stepdad who had a reaction was like, what happened? Because they own the barbershop. You'll meet the mother and you'll hear the other side of the story. What really played a part in this? Now remember, designs on hairs is strictly a violation of dress code policy. Here's Christy Diamond.
And there was hair all over like that, and it was just plain, like short like this.
11-year-old Danny Valdez is sporting a fresh new haircut, but unlike all his other cuts, he didn't get this one here at his parents' barbershop.
My reaction was, what happened and who did it?
On Wednesday, the 6th grader went to school with this haircut, which administrators say violates school policy. Danny's stepdad got a call from the school about the cut and says he couldn't pick up Danny right then, so he planned to fix it after school.
Our agreement was he'd come to the barbershop after school, get his haircut, and that was it.
But that didn't happen. Instead, a counselor at the school shaved off Danny's design.
He took the clipper out and just shaved it off.
Since Danny's parents own a barbershop and know everything that goes into cutting hair, they say their biggest concern is the cleanliness of those clippers.
Where did the clippers come from? How sanitary were they? Who's used them before? Where have they been?
Danny's mom says she agrees with the school's haircut policy, but doesn't agree with how they handled it.
They should have contacted me and said, you have to pick him up, not take it upon themselves to cut his hair.
I reached out to officials with Lee County School District, and they have a different story. They say Danny's stepdad agreed to the cut to keep Danny out of in-school suspension, but nonetheless admit it shouldn't have happened, saying, quote, the district acknowledges the actions taken by personnel were not appropriate.
I was really livid. I don't know out of what intention it was done. I just feel like it shouldn't have been done, period.
I reached back out to the school district to find out if the counselor who did this will face any sort of disciplinary measures. The district spokeswoman tells me they'll have to review the incident first. And as for the family, Danny's mom tells me she's already arranged to have her son switch schools. Live in the studio, Christy Diamond, Fox 4 in your corner.
Wow. And there was even one that I'm not going to have time to play. There's even one I know about, but I'm not going to have time to just find it. It was a story that happened years ago. A 12-year-old kid had Matt Bonner, MEA star, drawn on the back of his head. A really good haircut. But he was given an in-school suspension for violating the school dress code. And you know what else? He had to shave his head bald to come back to school. But it turned out well. After Matt Bonner saw it on the news, he gave the kid playoff tickets and autographed swag. So I'm really happy that things turned out great. We're back in a moment with more of our Flashback Friday about haircuts, especially the one from here in Flower Bluff. Stay with us. Well, 2 years ago, we did a Give Me a Break investigation into cutting people's hairs. And look where it popped up. Just 2 years ago here in Flower Bluff, the father was upset with the FBHS after his son's hair was cut off. Now remember, this kid was an injured ROTC, which I was 10 years ago. You're about to hear from the student, the father, and the statement from the school, from the district. This was when Freeman was superintendent before I told him about the show. Take a look.
On Wednesday, 14-year-old Wesley Benham texted his father to take him out of school early because he says he was humiliated.
And I said, why? Then he sent me a picture of his hair. And I said, well, what happened?
His son told him that his ROTC instructor chopped his hair off without his permission.
And when it was my turn, he said, sit down. And I was like, I don't want it. And he was like, well, I can just fill out the paperwork. I can get you sent out of ROTC. So I sat down and I couldn't move. I didn't want to do anything. He just started shaving my head.
Benham says the ROTC program has inspections on Wednesdays, meaning they go through a checklist, making sure each student's uniform and appearance is in order.
And him being respectful and, of his elders and everything, he didn't want to argue with him. He was afraid of getting kicked out of ROTC because he loves ROTC. And in fear of that, felt like he was obligated to do it. So he was bullied into doing this.
I went to see myself in the mirror in the school bathroom, and I just saw me.
Wesley's father says his son's hair was not in violation. Even though his son was out sick during the last inspection, he still was not told he needed a haircut.
It doesn't state anywhere that they have the permission or the right to cut their hair off. We didn't get a phone call, we didn't get a letter, we didn't get a note, nothing.
Benham says if the school would have told him his son needed a haircut, he would have taken care of it. He says people need a license to cut the public's hair.
For that school is responsible for teaching, not beauty makeovers and cosmetology and all that stuff and using clippers from God knows where they came from.
Benham says they spoke with school officials yesterday. What did they tell you?
Well, we're just as upset about it as you. I can only imagine. I'm sorry that happened to you, young man. That should have never been allowed to happen, blah, blah, blah. They basically just told us what we wanted to hear so we could go away.
Wesley's father says he appreciates the apology, but he wants assurance that this will never happen again.
They don't just do what they want to do with their kids.
Wesley says he's nervous to go back to school and even to the ROTC program.
I wish I could just get my hair back, but...
That picture you saw was of Wesley getting his hair fixed today at Supercuts. Benham says there were more than a dozen students whose hair was also cut off. He says he's been in contact with a handful of parents who are equally upset with the school. I reached out to Flower Bluff ISD officials, and they told me right now they're working on gathering the facts. As soon as we get a comment, we'll update you. In studio, Crystal Dominguez, Action 10 News.
And they already got the comment already. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at the statement, and I'm going to respond.
Again, the question, does a school instructor have the right to cut a student's hair? That's what one father's concern is about how Flower Bluff High School handled his son. Now, Crystal's first started covering this story yesterday, and today the Flower Bluff ISD responded to you.
They did, and the district acknowledged they were wrong and apologized. ROTC students are expected to have a clean-cut appearance and meet military uniform standards.
It doesn't state anywhere that they have the permission or the right to cut their hair off.
Ken Benham says Flower Bluff ISD is expected to give students an education and not a makeover.
And using clippers from God knows where they came from.
He's upset after his 14-year-old son's hair was cut off, not by a licensed professional, but an instructor.
We didn't get a phone call, we didn't get a letter, we didn't get a note, nothing.
In a statement, Flower Bluff ISD officials say students were verbally told they would get a haircut in class if they didn't receive one before uniform inspection day. They say most of the students who received a haircut in class either requested the haircut or parent permission was given. A few parents were not notified. District and campus administrators have spoken with the parents who were upset and issued apologies. But is it legal without a license? The district went on to say, the district is currently reviewing the processes and procedures of Flower Bluff High School NJROTC program, and necessary adjustments will be made to ensure requirements of the program and policies of the campus are in alignment. The story received a lot of attention on social media. At the end of the day, this father says it's not about his son's appearance, it's about the school handling a situation they're not qualified for.
And during that investigation, the law specifically states if you do not have a license, you are not required to cut hair. Now, during that time, we don't know which drill instructor cut that hair, but we'll keep you posted. Finally, as our Flashback Friday ends, we go way back. Not way back to the past. Not way back to the past of the dinosaur age. No, we're going back. We're not going forward. We're not going back. We're going forward. I heard about the story of the Harbor Bridge and why people want this construction to be done. And it never was done, so they just held it off because of this and that. They might be just sticking out their thumbs in their asses while doing construction with their tongue. Like one hand you just get your construction done, the other hand you just lift it with your tongue. And going back to Flashback Friday, I remember. Actually, that's the end of Flashback Friday. We'll have another Flashback Friday on Season 6. That's Give Me a Break for this Friday. We'll see you again. We'll see you again after Labor Day for the Season 6 premiere of Give Me a Break. And thank you for celebrating 5 years with me. I hope that we've had a great time together. And really, looking through issues and getting you facts and the truth. For all of us here at Give Me a Break and YouTube, good night, everyone.